Thank you, sir.
Okay, something I don't read very often, ever actually. Vanity Fair rolling out a two-part White House profile after interviews with White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, slicing up her words, even painting Vice President J.D. Vance as a conspiracy theorist. Now, administration officials are pushing back on the liberal reg.
Sometimes I am a conspiracy theorist, but I only believe in the conspiracy theories that are true. And Susie Wiles, we have our disagreements. We agree on much more than we disagree, but I've never seen her be disloyal to the President of the United States, and that makes her the best White House Chief of Staff that I think the President could ask for. If any of us have learned a lesson from that Vanity Fair article, I hope that the lesson is we should be giving fewer interviews to mainstream media outlets.
Joining us now to react, Fox News political analyst and host of the Guy Benson Show on Fox News Radio, Guy Benson. Guy, I read the entire piece. I don't think that Vanity Fair and the liberal media ever expect people to read it. They just like to kind of chuck up, literally, the little bits and pieces of it and assume to make the Trump administration, Susie Wiles, look as bad as possible. How do you see it?
Well, I think that is almost certainly what happened here. And my question is, with all respect to Susie Wiles, why on earth, given her seasoned experience in this business, would she not know that going in? I mean, of all publications, a hostile one like Vanity Fair, you think they're going to treat you fairly as Donald Trump's chief of staff? Absolutely not. Apparently, she gave them really extraordinary inside access and 11 interviews over the course of 11 months and was extremely candid in a lot of her assessments, knowing that that could all end up in print. By the way, I think some of her assessments are spot on. I just think it was poor judgment to grant this access, to do these interviews, and to think, I think very naively, that it would turn out somehow better for you. This seemed like an unforced error or an own goal by Susie Wiles, who is now saying, oh, it's a hit piece and all that. Right. Maybe it is. Maybe they've spliced it all up in an unfair way. But she not just opened the door a crack, she kicked it open and let them in. So hopefully that's a lesson learned belatedly.
You know, it seems like one of the possible reasons for a reporter wanting to do one of these is you get these juicy tidbits, and maybe it sows discord within the administration, you know, and you start getting conflict or feuds or whatever. With this piece, I mean, obviously there were some very sharp, interesting things said. Do you see this turning into the kind of thing that could create more division within the White House, within the administration, or do you think they're largely going to just brush it aside?
Well, I think those are the things that the White House Chief of Staff should have thought about before saying yes to all of this, and then at least pretending to be stunned when it turned out the way that it has. I will say that the vice president immediately coming out and kind of making light of it to some extent, like, well, I am sometimes a conspiracy theorist, and saying she's super loyal and all of that. We just played the soundbite. I think that is Vance recognizing that she's actually in many ways quite good at her job. And if this might have been a mistake, let's bear hug her and say this is not some betrayal of the president and move on as quickly as possible. That's my interpretation of what Vance is doing here.
I just wanted to call out Vanity Fair, because the photographs that were taken, and it wasn't just of Susie Wiles, it was of Caroline Leavitt, Stephen Miller, and others. But they posted these photos on Instagram of Caroline Leavitt, particularly, who is a young mother in her 20s, and her face is shot in close-up like this. They posted it, and it's so close to her face, it was to make her look as old and as poor as they possibly could. And it is shameful that they did it, and it's shameful the way people react to it.
Of course they did.
It's just disgusting. These people are disgusting.
Yeah, they did.
Do you remember, Dagan, this?
Go ahead, Guy.
I was going to say, that just sparked a thought. Years ago, I remember it was either Vanity Fair or one of those similar publications did a whole photo shoot with John McCain when he was the Republican nominee. And they used all this deliberately unflattering uplighting. And then the photographer later was bragging about how the goal was to make them look bad and scary. This happens. This is what they do. And if you're going to let them into the tent and speak in an unguarded way around them and expect different results, I just think, unfortunately, that's very foolish. These types of journos are who they are.
Yeah, why do it? I mean, why do it? I think that was your opening line, Guy. That makes a lot of sense to me. We got to leave it there. Guy Benson, great to see you. Thanks for being with us today.